let's take a flashback ride. A couple of months ago, I posted a video that was talking about some of the more overrated metal bands, at least ones that I thought were overrated. And there was one band that was getting a lot of attention because a lot of people felt that they weren't all that overrated now, anymore, really. But they definitely seemed to be whenever they were really, really big. Well, let's fast forward a little bit to just this past Monday, whenever I'm putting out new releases for the store, and there I am, holding in my hand the very band that had all of this attention being swirled around it, and whether or not they're still overrated here in 2012 or 2013, as opposed to 2003 or something. Yeah, that band is Hatebreed, and we're here to talk about their new album, The Divinity of Purpose. Now, it's hard to believe, actually, that it's been 4 years ever since the last Hatebreed release. Actually, there was 2 that year. It really just seems like it was just yesterday that something came out from them, and people were picking it up left and right because, well, they remembered Hatebreed from a time that was a lot simpler. Yeah, this was before cell phones were this big and were able to do everything from text to take photos to send full-length videos to YouTube. And, well, they wanted to kind of rekindle that old fire, I suppose. Well, now they get that opportunity to do that again here in 2013. But I'm here to actually warn you of one thing. For those of you who like that stuff because of the signature sound, you're going to be pretty happy. But for those of you who are hoping for a little bit of musical evolution, who are thinking that maybe Hatebreed actually has something new and exciting to offer to the table, well, think again. This is an album that's only about 36 to 37 minutes in length, so it's not a very long affair. It's only 12 tracks, but let's face it, if you've listened to a Hatebreed album, there's a good chance that you've listened to just about every one of their albums. The only difference is that some of their songs seem to have that potency and have that ability to actually spark something within you, and other songs, well, okay, about 80% of them don't. It's to the point where actually CNN incorrectly labeled these guys as a white supremacist group back in August of 2012 after a shooting in Wisconsin. Yeah, they actually mislabeled Hatebreed for a white supremacist band. Now, I can kind of understand why somebody might draw this conclusion. There is kind of that rich punk / metal sound, which some people classify as metalcore, but it's really more of a staple of the hardcore scene, that has a lot of chants, that has a lot of screaming, efforts into the audience and hoping for a response back from them, which you hear on the record from the response from other members of the band. So, I guess, in a way, they just went after the first group that sounded like it had, all of the staples of Nazi punk or, white supremacist, white power music, and went for the band that seemed to have hate in the title. It all seemed to make sense to them. Well, they're not necessarily actually at all associated with that type of thing, and CNN later had to renounce the claim. Why am I telling this long and boring historical story? Well, because if you've listened to Hatebreed, then you've listened to this album. Really and essentially. There's not much to say. Really, a Hatebreed album is all about, well, a couple of simple ideas. You want to have some nice, strong power chords. You want to have some breakdowns interlaced in there, but not like the deathcore breakdowns. These are breakdowns, version 1.0. The breakdowns that you heard in the latter part of the 1990s that was associated with the early hardcore scene that eventually evolved into the deathcore scene. You want to have lyrics that are all about, self-purpose and not being willing to back down, fighting for what's yours, and basically just being a badass. And, well, while you're doing that, you have to do some shouting. A lot of shouting. Like, you have to shout all of the lyrics, and then you have to chant lyrics in a shouting fashion. Yeah. If you heard, songs like I Will Be Heard, well, you've heard songs like that with, songs like Honor Never Dies off of this record, or even The Divinity of Purpose. Put It to the Torch was the first single off of this album, and, well, once again, whenever I listen to this, I'm getting shades of every album of theirs I've ever heard all over again. You even get shades of this on For the Lions, which is largely a covers disc, but considering a lot of the bands that are on this disc seem to kind of mismatch into their style just a little bit, adding little core elements, well, you can understand why that's the case. I really like the fact that on that album they did a cover of Metallica's Escape. It's really a song that you don't hear a lot of people talk about. We might be talking about that song if I ever do a top 10 Metallica songs of all time, because that song is very, very good. However, once again, if you've listened to anything, whether it be Perseverance to their first album to the most recent self-titled Hatebreed or, of course, The Divinity of Purpose, you know the style, you know the formula, you know it well, and if it's something that's always kind of sparked something within you, if it's something that's always made you feel happy inside or make you want to just kick the crap out of somebody, well then, congratulations. Here in 2013, you have a new Hatebreed album to basically get pissed off about. That way you can, get pissed off at people and punch them in the face, or do whatever it is that you do. If you're actually expecting these guys to maybe slow down the process and take 4 years to write music that actually is a little bit different from what they've done throughout the course of their career, well, you're going to be sadly disappointed. And if you've heard that they are going to do that, well, the reflection's not going to show. Overall, for me, this is just kind of droll. It's bland. The reason why it's bland isn't necessarily because it falls flat. It's just because this is a formula that's been done over and over again, and, well, I'm one of those guys that kind of like a little bit of musical evolution. I like it whenever bands take risks. I like it whenever they kind of step outside their comfort zone a little bit, just not go too far. A Divinity in Santa's farm. That was just insanus. But whenever you're just kind of rehashing the rehash of the rehash, as I've said multiple times, it just kind of falls bland for me, and it makes it really difficult for me to listen to an entire album. This is one such case. So, if you like Hatebreed, you're going to like the Divinity of Purpose. If you just sort of like Hatebreed, but have found other things to be much better, well, then try something else. For me, I'm giving this a 6. Not necessarily because it's terrible. Hatebreed fans will enjoy it, but anybody else, it's going to be hit or miss.